Peace. Welcome, everyone. Another installation. What is this? Chapter
I think
7.
it's number 7, Truth Be Told.
The God, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Welcome to Truth Be Told, hosted by Celina and
Celina, the
Miguel.
Empress of 10,000 years.
10,000 years. Co-hosted by myself, Aseer the Duketeers.
But I also just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody for following thus far. Because this isn't something that a lot of people might be interested in or a lot of people might be attracted to. Knowledge attracts a certain type of thinker and it attracts a certain type of energy. So, it's been interesting to me to see how many people have been disgruntled to see what it is we do. Like, angry that I'm not in the streets keeping it real. Or like, I done sold out. I'm trying to look fly. Like, there is no trying to do anything when you are you.
Word.
You're just doing your life. You're living your life. And coming from New York, I definitely saw energy there that was going to be somewhat of a negation to what it is we were trying to accomplish.
Right.
Aseer is a very smart individual, and I'm going to jump right in and saying that we would go to 125th Street, we would keep it real in the hood, in the streets, talking to brothers in the street, and that has its purpose, but it can also be very limiting when you realize that the audience that you're trying to reach isn't always A, ready, B, wanting to become ready, or C, doesn't take it as a personal affront as to what it is they're not doing. So, you do that for a couple of years, and anybody that's great at what they do doesn't want to necessarily remain in the presence of all this open energy, meaning in the street. So for us, especially for me as his mate, I would be like, yo, Aseer, we had a great day today, but there was a lot of energy that I could see wasn't necessarily happy or didn't know how to support what it is that he was born to do, what it is he was doing and was born to do. For example, I don't know of a lot of young metaphysicians or speakers other than like the Phil Valentines, the Bobby Hemmets. There was a gap. They existed, and then there was a huge gap, and a couple of young folks came out around the time Aseer did his lecture on superheroes. I don't know why people sometimes find it interesting to copy or regurgitate the same energy, but when I started realizing that what he said opened a portal and made certain information palpable for young people, sometimes young folks go, word, I heard that brother talking, I could do what he's doing in the same vein. And that's what knowledge is supposed to do. It's supposed to create an energy in someone that wants to do more. And that's called inspired. That's called inspiration. And being inspired by someone can be a great thing. It's just when you covet who you're inspired by, or when your ego feels challenged and you feel like you've got to do what someone's doing better than them, that's when the problems occur. I don't mind. It's like if you watch a great dancer and then someone's like, wow, I want to dance like that. You're supposed to be inspired by what other people do. At least I am. Watching people like Bobby Hemmett and Phil Valentine and Steve Freemanell and Brother Daoud, it was very inspiring to start to study and to start to begin to figure out what not only we could contribute, but also how this energy was going to continue to survive through the voices of young folk. But by no means did I think I could be the next Bobby Hemmett, or I could do what other great leaders have done. And again, remember, I mentioned Bobby Hemmett because Bobby Hemmett was the only elder that actually acknowledged the work that Aseer was doing and was like, yo, this brother's doing great work. You know how hurtful it was to grow up in a society or to grow up in Brooklyn around great people that I was inspired by, but once I met them, I realized it was all a show. Yep. Like they literally became the image that they fell in love with watching on screen.
That's right.
But they couldn't be that in their living life.
That's right.
One of the comments last week was, Celina, you should drop names. You should talk about who these midwives are. It is not my purpose to cause scandal or to create gossip through trying to down someone else's life or try to interrupt what it is they want to be seen as. But it is my journey, and it is my due diligence, and it is important to me to try to not get caught up and to also educate those they may not know on what signs to look for to make sure someone is who they say they are. I don't want to sit here, especially thinking about my role on camera. You have to be very careful. I only use my life and people that are close to me that I feel privileged to speak about, like my sister, like people that I know I'm blood related to. I really didn't want to use this as a forum to gossip or to cause slander or to downcast anyone who feels like they're the best midwife or that they're the best whomever at what they do. There's a lot of room and a lot of audience for people to entertain that is fallacy, to entertain that is not real. A lot of people are attracted to things that aren't very deep. So who am I to be like, this midwife did this? And no, what I do want to say is that a lot of midwives and a lot of people that are in the healing industry, a lot of us and a lot of them need healing. I know where I need healing still, but I'm not using this platform as a means of my personal relationship counseling sessions. That's not what this is. That's how I know I have a greater purpose, because I've worked on myself long enough to not get caught up in the gossip and the slander. Because who cares if I drop 3 names of great people in Brooklyn who are doing relationship counseling, midwifery, but yet still have problems with their own womb, yet still didn't breastfeed any of their own babies, yet still didn't give birth to their own children naturally. That's a problem to me. If you are a health practitioner and you are out there in the world talking about natural births and natural ways to stay healthy, I think it's cool to know those things because you yourself went through and lived your life like that. But a lot of people don't do that. It's not easy for them. This is just what's cool to be looked at. This is the next gimmick of the 21st century. And it's sad, but I actually had a cerclage. I actually lost a baby. I actually breastfed for 2 years. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. I'm saying this to say I know what it feels like to not go the midwife way. Not because I didn't want to, but because my midwife was too busy in Jamaica to be present for me when I had a miscarriage, when I did call her and need her support, when I asked her for ways to get rid of my urinary tract infection. And she gave us uva ursi, which was an herb that no woman in their first trimester should take. But this is what she did. Whether I was her guinea pig or whether I was her 40th client, it doesn't matter. It's what I attracted in her. She might have been great for
everybody else,
for 20 people, but when I attracted her, she wasn't good for me. So what I want to say is what I have been saying. If you feel like you want to attract someone and you need to find out the answers, it's okay to ask the questions. Your midwife should be able to speak from a place of truth. Whoever, your doctor, your practitioner, they should all be able to expose what they've gone through, what they've experienced, because part of our journeys here is to talk about what we've collected, what we've experienced, what we've learned by being alive, by being on this path. And it's not hard for me to say I tried doing it the healthy, midwifery, non-hospital way, and that didn't work for me or my body. Therefore, my second child, I had in a hospital, even though I had with no drugs, even though I pushed him out of my womb.
They left us alone until he came.
They did leave us alone until I needed the doctor to be there to take him out. But what I'm saying is I had an amazing, wonderful hospital experience. And that wasn't something that I necessarily prepared myself to have. I wanted to have my son at home. But based on my journey, based on my first loss, it was not the best thing for me to have my baby at home. So I had to swallow the pill, become humble, and know that I could still have a great experience, yet in a hospital. So I also use what I've gone through as a means to try to help educate others, because I sometimes wished people had done that for me.
That's right.
So no, I do know a lot of healthy women that look healthy, that have locks, that have amazing temples
Centers
and
all this
centers,
BS.
but yet still they don't believe in their own message. They don't believe in their own healing techniques. They don't practice their own relationship counseling.
That's right.
They have problems with their own marriages. They can't give advice to their own children because their life is a lie. They have lived their life to look like these things, but in reality, their wombs are in pain. They're not having healthy sexual experiences, and they're not honest enough to talk about why these things might be happening to them. Because God forbid they get off their platform of whatever to be real and say, look, after 20 years you might have dreams about another man. It wasn't easy for me to tell my husband that I was thinking about being with somebody else after being with him for 15 years. This is my first lover. So I didn't expect 15 years ago to have feelings or to want to maybe experience. Might not want, like, it's not as easy as it's all written out to be. And I'm here as a living example to say, I don't know what my life is going to be like in the next 10 to 15 years. All I can say is that I'm present today. I'm trying to work out our issues, which really are people presuming to know us or presuming to know what our relationship is like, when really we've never entertained another woman in our bed. And maybe that was the problem in not stopping. Aseer, what did you say the other day to me? Like a lot of women.
A lot of times women would come through acting like friends when they just really wanted to smash and do something else. And the issue with us sometimes was that we might not have been as direct as to what we seen taking place as we should have been. You see what I'm saying? Meaning that we should have just said what it is we seen going down, as opposed to hoping that the person is going to be an adult and actually express themselves. But what I learned from that whole experience was that most adults are not that. Most adults think like children, in the sense that they don't really come out and say the things that they want to say. People say that they want the truth. People say that they want to be real, keep it real, and let's be honest and all that. But to keep it real with you, most people just want to have everything they do co-signed by whoever else is around.
And I can say that I might be that person at times. Like in talking to him in details about our relationship, what's been funny as of late to me is that supposedly so many people are aware that we're Moors, you know? Being a Moor is not anything other than what you choose it to be for yourself. I keep talking about the movement taking place within oneself, because if you're always in front of a podium talking about history and talking about how we can be recognized as greater than African Americans or as Negroes, then how are you going to couple that energy and translate that into a real living thing for yourself?
Now,
the reason why I asked Aseer, baby, can we do more and leave New York, was because I felt so many younger people that not only told me this with their mouth, but said, wow, you inspired me to do X, Y, and Z. I didn't think that by doing a lecture at the Brooklyn Museum, people would go to the Brooklyn Museum and do the exact same dissertation that we did. Like, what kind of fun is that? Where are you to think that it's okay or it's cool to do exactly what you see someone else doing? After he did a lecture on superheroes, there was a couple people that did the exact same lecture. It wasn't as good, but it was the same subject matter. It was talking about the same correlations that Aseer made. And I was like, wow, if they felt to do this, then why not do this of your own volition? Why wait to see someone go to the Brooklyn Museum? Because it was embarrassing. Like, what's wrong with you that you're gonna go to the same spot after you big us up for doing it and go, well, you know what? I'm gonna do the same lecture there. It's not flattering. You look kind of obsessive psychotic. But rather than me say this person is obsessive and psychotic, it's for me to separate myself and go, wow, That was a little weird. That was a little Jennifer Body-ish. Let me allow them to have the platform that they so want. Because if I stay here, I might not be healthy because someone else wants to sit here. And I talked about that. I've talked about that before. It's really whack because if we're all supposed to be helping one another and we want to get out of the space of being recognized as just African Americans and as Negroes, I asked the one intelligent man that I knew had the ability to connect certain dots to not get caught up trying to teach people that didn't want to learn.
And me, as a man who's been taught, raised by a single mother who was taught to only listen to what you want to hear other people say, or not to pay attention to the person that you with. We as men have been trained where if a woman speak too much, it's like she talking too much, and you shouldn't really listen to her. You know what I'm saying? And what I had to do was humble myself in understanding that there's certain, they call women wisdoms for a reason. And that wisdom actually is the reflection of one's knowledge. Therefore, if she is telling me something that is going to give me some wisdom, then I need to listen to it. Then I need to pay attention to it. And I need to not act like she's trying to do something to try to control me. I've been in relationships, okay, where women have tried to control me or try to control the situation, whatever. That's not who I'm with. You understand? But everybody got their own perception of what they think your relationship is when they're not in it. And everybody act like they want to support relationships until that relationship becomes one that forces you to have to evaluate your own personal relationship or inner relationship or what have you.
Go back in. I have a couple more minutes. And this is what I mean as well. Like using moments like this to try, but what I've noticed is that we've been very thin in our reality.
Word, man.
We don't have a lot of superfluous energy and friends to help us with the camera, to watch my son for an hour while we take time to do stuff like this. But yet still I know people that don't really have much to contribute with so many.
They got a whole team.
A whole team, but that's the reality of life. Those that want to contribute something of substance usually will be by themselves.
That's right.
And those that are just extra will have a lot of extra. So
energy.
It's not for me to be angry, it's just to say even today, it's like I've tried to get a sitter, I've tried to do stuff where we can have an hour to ourselves,
right.
But this is actually what's been thinning and straining our relationship. That we don't entertain just anybody. Yeah, that might be a problem, but to me, I don't want to have people around me just cuz, or just to feed off of them. That's so horrible to me. It's like I had a baby, it's my responsibility to take care of him. I have a child, it's my responsibility to feed him every day, and I've done so. But that's exactly why at times I don't have time to place my camera in my kitchen to show what it is I'm cooking, because I have to balance some more. I have to stay humble in my home and know that there isn't always somebody there to help me. And I'm not angry with that, but it's so important to know who you are in the world and to know what it is you attract and dictate. We don't attract a lot of superfluous energy. I used to be upset about it, but now I'm seeing it as a blessing in disguise. The same thing. I didn't expect to have a life where we have so much that we want to contribute, but we might not necessarily be financially supported in doing it. But one thing I do want to say today is it's been a fabulous week in the sense that last week I literally woke up like, wow, we have no currency in our account. But what's amazing is our passports came in the mail. Our passports that don't recognize us as African Americans and as Negroes. We are actually in a space now where everything that we have learned history-wise, we've applied and we've been able to back up through tangible evidence. I don't know of any Moors anywhere right now that actually have passports that reflect their nationality. Nor do I know of any Moors who have passport ID cards that have been recognized by the Department of State. And that's a huge accomplishment for me and him.
Yes.
Because we've worked for over 15 years to get there.
To us.
Right?
Yes.
And I say that to say, I don't think that we would have gotten there by staying on the street trying to convince brothers
no.
of what can happen. Because while you're trying to convince someone of what can be done, you're wasting your energy and time on trying to convince someone when you can be more insular, internal, and figure out ways to do what it is you're hoping others believe you can work.
That's right.
But if you don't do it for yourself,
How you gonna know?
then how are you going to A, know, and how are you going to be an example, a living example for those that are still living in doubt?
People can say
Shout
what
out,
they want.
people can say what they want, but
When you really deal with it, I've never seen no RBG, I've never seen no Kemite, I ain't never seen no Hebrew Israelite, I ain't never seen no Nuwapian, I ain't never seen nobody recognized by the actual so-called government in which you live, as much as you want to be sovereign and all of that, act like they know who indeed you are. The only people I know that got a verification of their true identities as melanated people on this hemisphere are the Moors. So you can hate all you want, but again, hate is a backwards version of love.
sure, baby.
It's a backwards version of love. You know what I'm saying? So those people who hate on the fact that other people are able to accomplish their goals like me and the Queen did, and actually now we can travel anywhere in the world according to how this thing works. When you see these, the passports that they actually give real nationals and the passports they give so-called citizens, you will almost cry. I was like, damn, I was walking around with this fake document for all of these years.
And no one tells you.
And nobody told me?
Nobody tells you that there's something else behind door number 2 that exists. It's only door number 1 and door number 3. It's like nothing else is there. And history-wise, it's like Aseer has done so much work that I have to humble myself and thank him for, because without him, I know I wouldn't have had the stamina to put all the history together. And he says to me every day, without you, Celina, I don't know if I would have had the stamina to see it through the end, or the where-all to know how to necessarily fill out all the forms.
Right.
So we had certain talents that we brought together to figure it out, because honestly, I was starting to feel disgruntled by the entire process and how many Moors or people of different cultural nationalities. The reason why I shout Noble Jew Ali out, if you notice, he's one of the only greats that is left out of history, because I now know he left specific things for people of color. I'm talking black folk,
Us.
to be recognized as more than Negroes and as blacks here. But this isn't in our history books. This isn't applied when you go to college for your doctorate in history. They don't tell you about stuff like this, because the society that was set up after 1492 was set up to dissuade us from even knowing that it existed. And it really worked, because I went to college and there was so much that I needed to rewrite and rewire in my mainframe to even know that this could be a possibility.
Right.
Camera 2, shout out to the young sister, I think her name is Kamiko, from Harvard. There's a lot of black people that are doing campaigns. This young lady did a campaign through Harvard University as, she had like the whiteboards, and all these black students were able to write down what they felt they needed to express as black people in these universities. And to be honest, they felt left out. It's always interesting seeing things that happen to create this integrated experience. There's still people of color that feel segregated.
That's right.
Like myself, I felt more segregated in college than I did high school. Those social experiments are extremely necessary, because it allows us to see that even though things take place in this huge rainbow coalition group, black people still feel like, approached to
They
learn
can
how to
get killed,
twerk.
anything.
Or I'm more than my hair. So many of the comments were about what I guess white folks address them or approach them to believe these people are. But we're more than our hair. We're more than cultural aesthetics. We're more than Trinidadian, Tobagan, Panamanian.
Right.
Those are cultural affiliations that make us feel like we're from somewhere. And yes, you do have a Bayesian flag and a Panamanian flag.
Yeah, but that was post-colonial.
Post-colonial, and what else is here? Can you be recognized as a
That's right. As can you be recognized in the country that you in under the original ancient nationality that was left for you by all of your ancient ancestors. They cut us off from a point in our history, and people don't get it. You really don't get it. But you ask a Jew, if you ask a Jew right now, well, did you take your trans epigenetic? If you ask a person who's of Jewish nationality right now, did you do your epigenetic transgenerational inheritance DNA test? Most so-called black people don't even know what that is. But this be the test that they work on you every day to keep you in an inferior state. So why wouldn't you want to be in a higher or elevated state that puts you not only back into the constitutional fold of every national and every Republican form of government in the world? Why wouldn't you want to do that? The only reason why you want to do that is because you want to follow what everybody else is doing. Why you would not want to do that?
I'm just trying to get him to slow down.
Thank you. It's because people be on some, you gotta be black. You gotta keep it real. You gotta just do it like the niggas do it. It's a struggle. It's a this. It's a that.
I would love for every cultural group, whether you're Rosicrucian, Coptic, Christian, Catholic, Hebrew Israelite, RBG, Nations of Gods and Earths, all of those are fascinating and really colorful, but they do not allow you to be recognized as more than a 14th Amendment slave citizen of the United States of America, the corporate aspect, period. You cannot be recognized as more than that. And that was my problem. I love cultural affiliations, but if I can't have a flag that allows me to be recognized as more than a Negro when I'm in Italy, then I don't know if I want to rock with it.
That's right.
Because I know I'm more than what this country, the corporate aspect, has left for me to believe is there. But if I don't do the research, don't do the due diligence to figure out how to be recognized as that, then I'm always going to be recognized in the same box that was given to me to sit in.
That's right.
And it's not until you figure out that there's another box that you can be, not only take yourself out of, but there is another box that you can sit in that has been waiting for us.
That's right.
It's just nobody gives us that light at the end of the tunnel.
No.
And I thought it would be great of us when we got together to try to figure out how not only to be each other's light, but how to be of greater service to those that maybe is still living in denial and doubt.
That's right.
I can honestly say that the work that we've done and the things that we haven't entertained, we haven't entertained a lot of the debauchery, a lot of the debates, a lot of the he say, she
Stealing
say.
people money.
Because it's corny, it's so whack that we get a bigger rise out of competing with one another as to who can be smarter, who wrote the most books, who has the most wives, when really that's not helping any of us figure out ways to get our children not vaccinated, to get our children out of being put in mandatory situations where they're forced to have to be a part of something that wasn't ours to be a part of in the first place. So, you know, I'm sorry if my presence upsets you, but that's the way the world is. That's why you have a remote control. That's why you can turn off people that irritate you. Because can you sit down for me, my love? Thank you. If you can figure out a way to not fall for what it is folks have set up for you, then sometimes there's a little bit of an allergen. You become a problem, but only to those that want to convince other people that there is no other way out. Our major issue with other cultural groups is I won't entertain certain things, or I feel like the obstacle for people to get at Aseer. I'll tell you right now, any woman that's attracted to Aseer and that wants to be with him, please write him directly. Please send a picture, send your resume. Let him know, because I am not cock-blocking this man from being with anybody he wants to be with. Aseer is a free individual. We have a very unique marriage. We're not married through the state, but our marriage is through our purpose. It's through the fact that we've chosen to be each other's partners, and that's way beyond sex. It's way beyond a conditional love. It's way deeper than what I even sometimes understand. And what I mean by that is He's been faithful to me during the time that I couldn't have sex with him with my vagina because I had a cerclage. That took a year. He had to be celibate for almost 12 months. And it's like, I should be thankful. But at the same token, I've only been with him. So I feel like this is the time for us to be able to step up to the plate and be greater than what it is we've even given ourselves permission to be. And, you know, it's like having a small space where we're trying to create something larger is interesting, because a lot of people don't want to believe that that's something that they can do on their own. The movement is within. You can't pay somebody to go to the Social Security office and recognize your name is greater than what it is or what it was on your birth certificate. You have to do that yourself. You can't pay someone for documents to recognize you as something sovereign or something greater unless you do it yourself. Like, it's so hard for people to believe that they can fish for themselves without using somebody else's rod, but you truly can. And no movement is going to start until you make the decision to be greater than the elements that you've been given this lifetime. And to be honest, it wasn't exciting for me until I lost certain things. I had to lose my mom. I had to inherit certain debt. To know that there was something in this country that must be greater than me being tabulated by my annual income or by my yearly salary. Those are the only things that happened to me that allotted me a greater gasoline, I would say, or a greater purpose to know that there was more than what was meeting the eye. There was more than what people were telling me it was all cracked up to be. And I say all these things to say that this world is designed for you to be comfortable with whatever stage you're at. You can die without working on yourself for a day, and that be enough for some people. For me, I didn't want to take the easy route. So my prayers have led me to a greater insight, to a greater wisdom. You know, it's funny, some people even go, well, why are you Celina 10K? The Empress of 10,000 years, I didn't choose 10K as a means of gold, or to say I'm like a piece of gold or a piece of silver. No, thank you. What I did choose 10K for was, it was 10,000 years is the oldest flag that's been existing in this country that has been recognized as nationals or be recognized by Moors. So for me, I wanted to align myself to that energy that allowed me to be seen as something greater than now. That also put me in the fold of the greatest, oldest historical flag on the earth, which is our flag.
That's right.
That green flag with the red star,
that's right,
or that red flag with the green star.
That's right.
That was our flag that existed. That cherry tree chopping down of the cherry tree was symbolic. That story is a symbolic story. But I'm not a history major, and I'm not amazing with history. What I'm amazing with is knowing how history relates to me in the present.
That's right.
And that is Aseer's gift. The things that the things that Aseer does well, I don't purport to do amazing, and I don't purport to be a genius in. I don't have a telepath. What's the name? I don't have a photographic memory. Excuse me. And I wanted to humble myself to someone who did, and not become jealous that Aseer can remember everything that he reads, but be of service to someone. I didn't think that that would upset people in Brooklyn, our contemporaries, to feel challenged to do more or to be greater than what they saw him as. It let me know that this can't be my family. No. This can't be my audience. My community, if my community that I was raised to support can't support me.
That's right.
It hurt to know that God brothers, people that I loved unconditionally, would never want to have me in their temple, would never want to invite my husband to speak, because the knowledge that he carries is greater than Kamisha knowledge. It's greater than...
It's the expansion. It's Moorish science to me is world history, but it's world history with the proper context. And everybody want to act like all of these ancient civilizations were independent of each other, and there was no civilization of which all of them came out of. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that myth has been perpetuated to such a degree that my people today believe that they have all been enslaved from a continent called Africa, to the point that every movie that blows up or anything that's on TV with them, they gotta fit this fake role of either a drug dealer, a pimp, a drug addict, a slave. If you have power in a movie, you gotta be the police, or you gotta be a drug dealer. You gotta have something that keeps you in the specific history that took place between what? Not even 1492, between 1776 and 1965. That's your history as black people. Fuck out of here, man.
And that's why it can be challenging, because some people's wealth has been given to them by supporting the lie. And truthfully, a lot of people are rewarded to stay in that lie so that they don't break out and know that there's something more. Shout outs to all the people, Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, all the celebrities that have stepped up to the Clippers dude and they said, yo, F this dude. Because we need to be empowered to say F these dudes when they make such slanderous, remarks. Like, it would be great for all the Clippers to just
not play.
That would do it. But
niggas want their money.
They all gotta make their money still, and I understand it. Also to Floyd Mayweather. He's one of my favorites, and I'm hoping to be able to sit down in front of. Why? Because he's a real king.
And let's keep it real. He's putting it out there that he gonna buy the Clippers from the same racist white man.
Thank God.
So let's see if they let him do it.
I would love for him to do it because he has the financial means.
He got the money.
But
that
not
ain't
only
it.
that, I enjoy Mayweather because he reminds me and reminds us that you can be so flagrant with it. I love the fact that he has his own silverware. He has his own gold fork and spoon. And it's just so attractive.
That's how you're supposed to roll.
That is how great men always rolled in our lifetime. Black men are supposed to have 6, 7, and 8 wives. Not because they should be effing everybody, but because when you have that much money and you can take care of your woman, you should be able to have an empire as great as you want it to expand.
No, but these chicks today, our women today seem like, and again, this ain't everybody, this ain't a general thing, but most of the women that's promoted to you on TV today, like the Clippers guy girlfriend, who may or may not be a transgender male, female, whatever, right? When he said all of that, what he said about the black people and all that, don't bring no black people in my game, this and that. You know what this self-hating, I don't even want to call the person no name. You know what this self-hater said? Well, damn, if you feel that way, I wish I could change my skin color. That's the level of the game. That's why they keep abusing black children. That's why they keep throwing them in jail. That's why they keep breaking up our families, because niggas don't have no self-respect. That's just what it is. You can get mad all you want, but you can't tell me nothing at 41 that grew up in Brooklyn. You can't tell her nothing who grew up in Brooklyn all of these years, to see everything that has happened from then to now, and to see niggas still bleaching their skin. You still putting yourself under somebody else's jurisdiction for what? For money?
It's not like we're getting any place far, but what I do want to bring in the positive is Nicki Minaj has made a statement that she's trying to be more natural. I honestly am so thankful because, if you listen to Nicki Minaj, F that chick. Like, word, like, I don't hate anybody's music and them enough to hate anybody, to be quite honest.
Real talk.
Everybody that comes into this game or that gets rewarded with great monies the way Nicki Minaj has, the sister did a lot of work to get where she felt she needed to be.
And she allowed herself to become an agenda. Let's keep it real. She allowed herself to be an agenda, to turn whole generations of girls to think that it's okay to be doing concerts and shit, whipping out dildos in front of little kids and all that. But you know what? That ain't Nicki's fault. That's the parents' fault. That's the parents' fault of you taking your child to a Nicki Minaj concert, and then unfortunately she's sitting front row with a big dildo, and that's your fault. You shouldn't have brought your child.
Yes, but I also say, like, people like Kanye West, even Chris Brown, no brother should be that talented sitting in a county jail or sitting in a jail with other inmates based on the level of talent and success he's achieved.
But that's all to stop him from dancing. Because there ain't
It is.
nobody in the game right now that dance better than him.
And
He
he
is
was
the
closest to Michael Jackson.
The closest that you will ever get to Michael.
And I said, when he was younger, I said, wow, let's see what rituals they put this brother through. Because when you have that much talent and are so young,
Yep.
they send agendas and things to you to interrupt
Because you don't know
your progress. Not where you are now, but what you're going
what
to
you're
become.
gonna be.
And it's sad because I pray that Chris Brown not only gets out healthy, but I pray that he attracts the right energy to help him
And
secure
unlock them portals.
his nationality, because he is too goddamn talented to fall to the ways of the world.
And that's your child. Lil Wayne and these people, all these rappers you see or whatever, that's your children.
He should have certain support, because I guarantee you, Elvis Presley, or a bunch of these white entertainers, even other people that have drug issues. I can name so many white celebrities right now.
What?
So many that should be doing time.
And let's keep
Charlie
it real.
Sheen.
Let's keep it real.
All these people that were doing
And why
drugs.
is the brother in jail? He's in
Because
jail
he
because
violated-
he was able to flip a threesome in the rehab. So instead of them firing the girl,
Who's
right?
to say that those girls weren't
Who's to
sent
say that they weren't sent to him
to throw him off of his duty?
to snitch on
To
him?
snitch on him, to throw him off of what it is he had to accomplish.
Those are called sacred prostitutes. That's actually an intelligence talk, meaning intelligence agency and stuff. They call that a honeypot. You know what I'm saying? Where they send somebody to you to compromise you sexually. You see what I'm saying? And this happens every day. Why? Because when they give you all that money and you don't have no knowledge of yourself and you believe that you descend from African slaves, then you ain't never gonna look deeper into your true self and nationality for who you really were prior to that story.
It's like the Matrix, where you have certain things set up in the environment to cut you off from even knowing that you can meet somebody greater. These are the obstacles in this reality. Chris Brown's obstacle could have been through feminine energy. In his chart, he has a lot of energy that's open to the ways of women based on his relationship with his mother. So if you know astrology, I as a reader can say, okay, great. He's weak like that, just send him a pretty chick that's gonna throw him off of his square.
See what they did to Tupac?
Tupac, Biggie Smalls, sometimes these people don't know beforehand what their real talent is, and then other people that have this astrological awareness or other things that they feel can be used to dominate, they'll use it to quote unquote imprison you. So Chris Brown is sitting in jail. Like, are you serious? There's nobody that can get him out. There's no way that brother can have real rehab that's not with regular people to really get him the help that he needs. Like, it's a fallacy. The same thing I was talking about Nicki Minaj. Give her the freedom to be more than blonde hair and a Barbie doll. I don't know what's gonna happen to her career.
Exactly.
I hope that she's not driven crazy. I hope that she's not alienated and made to feel like she ain't worth nothing because she's not cooning herself as much. Because you know that's what they do too.
That's right.
Once you decide to not be the minstrel, then they target you and make you feel like you ain't shit. You have no, you're not anybody.
That's right.
You have no purpose. We no longer love you, and you're not going to be seen as anything great because you're not performing as to what we wanted you to perform as since day one.
That's right.
You know, so I appreciate the change because it's very courageous. Yeah, I'm not going to say that she should have done this a while ago. It's very courageous today for her to do what she's doing now.
That's right.
And I applaud her because it's not easy to shift gears based on what people know you as to be more.
Exactly.
To just sit more comfortably.
To want to be natural.
To sit more comfortably in your skin.
That's right.
Whether she has a little clip weave, who cares? It's better than what she thought she could do last month.
That's right.
And we should give people room to grow.
That's right.
And that's what I want to do. I want to
That's
give
right.
people room to become better.
That's right.
So if you hated me one year and now you can say, wow, I hated you because you just looked really fly, it's great to be able to submit to your own ways,
Word.
to deal with your lower nature and say, I'm not able to see them as great because I'm not able to sit in the sun.
That's right.
I'm not able to do what they're doing.
That's
But
right.
what I'm doing is not allotting me financial reward. It's allowing me spiritual reward that hopefully will gain to financial.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to keep it real that I know I deserve to have more than $30 in my bank account.
That's right.
But I also am not going to front like there isn't money out there.
That's right.
Maybe in me doing this, I can attract a Floyd Mayweather.
That's right.
We have an actual, real consecrated temple.
That's right.
That any wealthy person could donate money to.
That's right.
And write it off personally to taxes.
And actually help them all.
And actually help us.
Help somebody
help
do it.
people that want to allow us to be seen as more than niggers and blacks.
That's right.
Because those terms are terms of art, and they don't get us far in jail, in court, in prison.
It's gonna keep these people on you.
Especially when you're not committing heathenous acts.
That's right.
If you're not killing somebody, if you're not stealing, if you're not robbing,
right.
if you're not driving illegally. This is not a housing department for people that have lived their lives in such horrible ways that you can now become a Moor and all of that go away.
The prophet said we ain't supposed to harbor no criminals.
What did you say?
The prophet said we are not supposed to harbor no criminals, and this is not a criminal nation. He said we are a free and clean nation. Matter of fact, the CDC got us listed as a clean and pure nation under the number 409, Moroccan Americans, okay? You ain't got that for no Negroes. Negroes are listed as beasts of burden under Title 18, okay?
And that is why it's important to understand law. That is why, no matter what cultural group I'm behind, I would rather claim myself to be a Moor, because not only does my name reflect it, but my cultural nationality reflects it, and
these devils, not to cut your wisdom, baby, because I get hype.
It's okay.
These devils know who the real ones are, and they know that you have a history that goes beyond not only this country, beyond Africa, beyond this planet, but you can't even think about getting out into space until you get your earthly dominion first, because as above, so below. In heaven, on earth, we gotta work together.
So yes, it is partly my goal to protect my family, to protect Aseer, to protect my son, because I don't know of anybody else that's taken the time to not be seen at different lecture spots, just seen, but not doing anything.
It ain't doing nothing.
And it's a bother for me, because the people that are seen are usually the ones that get the financial support, and the ones that are doing the real work behind closed doors are the ones that are isolated, the ones that gossip is created about, the ones that people will try to deter the greater whole from attracting, because if you attract the real, then you're going to be able to live the real.
Wherever there's a LeBron, there's a Lenny Cook. I could say LeBron James all day, but who's Lenny Cook? Google it, find out, and look at the connection and see how they did this brother, drove this brother crazy when he was.
And
but again, that's a separate story.
He might have had other things to contribute to that, and this is what melanin does. We jump. I'm going to be jumping because I'm not scripted. I don't have any sheet of paper. I'm literally thinking about the things this week that meant a lot to me. And what also was crazy this week was a whole Nico Mimi. Let me let you guys know something. That sex scandal tape, it was plotted, it was predestined, it was planned. Mimi, is her name Mimi? Yes. Mimi knew exactly what she was doing before she even put the camera on. If you've watched Love and Hip Hop, you'll watch the fact that she even said she was not raised by her mother. She was signed over to the to the Temple of Scientology, to the Church of Scientology. Her mother signed her over to the Church of Scientology before she even hit puberty.
That's right.
This young woman didn't even have a chance to really know herself or love herself.
They've been mind controlling her since. For those people that don't know the history of the Church of Scientology, it was set up by a guy named L. Ron Hubbard, who was also the lover of another guy named Jack Parsons, who set up the Jet Propulsion Laboratories that eventually went into that, who was also the butt buddy and the homosexual acolyte of the great beast, Aleister Crowley, who was the head of the Golden Dawn.
Who's given everybody permission.
Who's given everybody
permission to feel like worshiping the devil
is
or
okay.
Understanding Baphomet is okay. You can rock Baphomet symbols on your shirt and not worship the devil, but be a free agent and a free. It's a very thin line, a very fine line, understanding occult history and occult wisdom, understanding what Blavatsky created, but you'll never hear about Pascal Beverly Randolph.
Never hear about Pascal though.
And that's the brother that actually even allowed these quote-unquote New
European
Age
theosophists.
European theologists and people in this
New Age shit.
theosophic
Yes.
society
Yes.
to exist. It's amazing to me that you'll hear about Aleister Crowley, all of this Golden Dawn,
Yeah.
New Age.
See all these
occult
rappers
stuff.
doing all this
But
crazy shit.
let me
They don't know
tell
what
you
the fuck they
that
doing.
it didn't start with him.
No.
And that's a problem in understanding and not knowing history. There isn't any books that people give us in college to alert us to these things.
No.
Because colleges were set up to deter people from the truth. Because if we can get everybody to support society the way it's set up now, then you'll never know that there's a greater fold and that there's a greater nationality
That's right.
that's been in existence for so long for
That's
us
right.
to exist in
That's
there.
right.
And that's why even this is lesson number 7. I said I'm gonna have to talk about what it is that I sometimes shy away from, because it's a great responsibility to know and to be